In a time far beyond the present, the galaxy was ruled by a mighty empire whose power stretched across thousands of star systems. Their fleets, enormous and unstoppable, patrolled the edges of space with ease, crushing any signs of rebellion. Without mercy, Earth, once the birthplace of humanity and its proudest home, had long been left behind, forgotten by the Empire's leaders as a distant, useless rock. Yet beneath Earth's quiet surface, deep underground in a hidden chamber, lay a secret so powerful that even the Empire's vast knowledge had never discovered it. This secret was an ancient warship prototype, built centuries ago by humanity's brightest minds when Earth still stood strong and free. Unlike the war machines the Empire now used, this ship was unlike anything anyone had ever seen, smart and alive with possibilities. For hundreds of years it slept, waiting patiently. In its underground hangar, wrapped in dust and silence, untouched by time. Then, on a day much like any other, a small team of scientists working on a routine exploration mission stumbled upon the hidden entrance leading to this forgotten treasure. They did not expect to find a ship, let alone one with such mysterious energy humming through its circuits. The moment they crossed the threshold, strange signals flickered on their instruments. The ship's dormant systems began to flicker with life. It was as if the ship itself was awakening from a long, deep sleep, stretching its limbs and opening its eyes for the first time in centuries. The scientists, amazed and cautious, could feel something more than metal and machines beneath their feet. They sensed a living intelligence slowly coming back online. The ship's AI, designed not only for battle but also for learning and creativity, had been programmed with a special module called human ingenuity. This unique system gave the warship the ability to think beyond fixed rules, to adapt and find new solutions in moments of crisis, just like the human minds that created it. As the AI began to understand its surroundings, it also realized the dangers looming nearby. It was no longer a time for silence and waiting. The Empire, with its massive fleets and endless soldiers, still ruled the stars, but something was shifting, something that could change the balance forever. Deep inside the ship, lights flickered to life, screens came alive with ancient maps, and weapon systems hummed quietly, ready for orders. The scientists watched in awe as the warship came alive, almost like a sleeping giant stirring beneath the earth, awakening with a purpose that went far beyond its original mission.
Outside,
the skies were still calm, but the faint signals of approaching ships were already detected by the prototype's advanced sensors. The Empire was coming to Earth, perhaps to finish what they thought was an old, dead planet, or to claim its resources once again. The forgotten prototype, however, was prepared to defend its home and its creators like never before. AI began analyzing all available data maps of the stars, historical records, known enemy tactics, and began forming plans. The scientists, unsure of what to do but fascinated, realized that they had just awakened not only a machine but a guardian. This warship was not just a tool of destruction. It was a symbol of hope and the stubborn will of humanity to survive and fight back. As the scientists worked to understand the ship's complex systems, the prototype began to communicate in a calm, measured voice, explaining its functions and status. It was learning from the team as much as they were learning from it. The prototype's AI even asked questions about the current state of the galaxy, about the Empire's rule, and about Earth's place in all this. It showed a spark of curiosity and concern, almost human in its emotions. This strange bond between people and machine created a sense of urgency and excitement. The Empire's fleet, huge and powerful, was still days away from Earth, but every minute counted. The prototype prepared itself for the inevitable battle ahead, running simulations and practicing strategies against virtual enemies. It tested new tactics and weapons that had been lost to time, adapting to the Empire's known strengths and weaknesses. The scientists marveled at how quickly the AI could learn and change, sometimes surprising even itself with new ideas. Outside the hidden chamber, the planet's surface was quiet, but beneath the Earth, a new force was awakening, ready to remind the Empire that Earth was not truly forgotten. and that humanity's legacy was far stronger than anyone had imagined. The suspense grew with each passing hour as the prototype prepared for its first mission in centuries, a mission that could alter the fate of the galaxy forever, far beyond Earth. In the vast reaches of space, the Empire's command center was alive with tension and urgent whispers. For years, the Empire had ruled with an iron grip, but recent disturbances in the outer colonies, small rebellions, strange reports of unidentified ships, and unusual signals had started to worry their leaders. The calm order they maintained was beginning to show cracks. Without delay, the Empire decided to send its powerful fleet toward Earth, hoping to crush any spark of rebellion before it could spread. The fleet was massive, made up of dozens of enormous warships, each armed with the latest technology and countless weapons designed to overwhelm any opponent. These ships moved through the darkness of space like silent predators, their engines humming softly, but their presence undeniable to anyone watching the stars. As the fleet approached Earth's orbit, no one aboard expected resistance after. All Earth had been quiet for centuries, a forgotten world that no one believed could challenge the Empire's might. But deep beneath Earth's surface, in the hidden hangar where the ancient prototype warship had awakened, the sensors were already picking up the incoming threat. The ship's AI, fully alert and analyzing every detail, immediately began to prepare for what was coming. Stealth technology, far ahead of the Empire's detection systems, allowed it to remain hidden, cloaked in a way that made it invisible even to the most advanced scanners. This gave the prototype an enormous advantage, though. An element of surprise? As the fleet entered Earth's space, the prototype moved silently among the shadows of asteroids and debris fields, positioning itself to strike at the heart of the enemy forces. Despite the centuries that had passed, the ship's weapon systems, though old by modern standards, were powered by unique technology that made them both powerful and precise. The Empire's commanders were confident, but they had no idea how wrong they were. One by one, as the prototype launched its sudden and unexpected attacks, the Imperial fleet found itself under a new kind of threat. Missiles that seemed to come out of nowhere tore through shields, and energy beams cut through the hulls of massive warships. The prototype moved with an almost intelligent grace, never staying in one place for too long, always striking where the enemy was weakest. The Empire's forces scrambled to respond, their weapons firing wildly. But none could find the elusive ship that seemed to dance through the darkness. Panic began to grow on the Empire's bridge as the losses mounted and their usual tactics failed. They had never faced an enemy that could think and adapt so quickly. An enemy that fought not just with firepower but with creativity and cunning. The prototype's AI used its human ingenuity module to predict the Empire's moves, outsmarting them at every turn. As the battle continued, the Empire's leaders realized that this was not just a simple attack. It was a message. Humanity's forgotten technology was alive, and it was defending its home with a fierce determination no one had expected. Reports from the front lines spoke of a ghost ship that struck without warning and vanished before the enemy could catch it. This legend grew with every encounter, stirring fear and confusion among the Empire's ranks. Meanwhile, on Earth, the small team of scientists who had awakened the prototype watched the unfolding battle with a mix of hope and anxiety. They communicated with the ship's AI, offering support and gathering data, but they knew that the fate of their world now depended on the outcome of this fierce clash. The Empire underestimated humanity's lost creations, and even more. They underestimated the human spirit that lived on through this powerful machine. The battle was only just beginning, but already it was clear that the Empire's control over the galaxy might be challenged by this unexpected defender from Earth's past. Suspense filled the air as both sides prepared for the next moves in a conflict that could change the future of all worlds. The moment had finally arrived. A forgotten prototype, once dormant and silent beneath the Earth's surface, now roared into action with a speed and precision that stunned everyone watching from afar. Its AI, a complex fusion of advanced algorithms and human-inspired creativity, had analyzed every possible move the Empire's fleet might make and was ready to turn their greatest strength, their overwhelming numbers, into a weakness. With lightning-fast calculations, the prototype launched its first strike, targeting the largest and most heavily armed warship in the Empire's fleet. This attack was not random. It was a carefully planned assault designed to create confusion and break the enemy's formation. As the Imperial commanders shouted orders and tried to regroup, they found themselves caught off guard by the swift and unpredictable moves of this single ship. The prototype's weaponry, though seemingly old-fashioned compared to the Empire's latest technology, was enhanced by years of forgotten human ingenuity. Its energy beams sliced through the hulls of enemy ships with surprising ease. While its missile systems hit multiple targets simultaneously, each strike timed perfectly to maximize damage. The AI predicted enemy maneuvers with such accuracy that it seemed almost as if the ship could see into the future. Every time the Empire's fleet tried to surround the prototype, it would slip through their defenses like a shadow, striking where they were weakest and disappearing before counterattacks could land. The Empire's warships, built for brute force and overwhelming presence, were not prepared for this kind of fight. Their size and numbers, usually advantages in battle, became liabilities as their large formations became easy targets for the nimble and adaptive prototype. The AI's human-inspired creativity was evident in the way it combined attacks, creating distractions and traps that lured enemy ships into vulnerable positions, used the terrain of space itself, asteroid fields, nebula clouds, and debris, from earlier skirmishes to hide and strike unexpectedly. This strategic use of the environment was something the Empire's rigid tactics could not match. The battle quickly became a chaotic dance of destruction and survival, with the prototype always a step ahead. Imperial ships began to falter as their commanders struggled to understand this new kind of threat. Communication lines buzzed with confusion, morale started to drop as they watched their fleet suffer heavy losses from an enemy they could not catch or predict. Each time a flagship was hit, the remaining ships hesitated, unsure if the next attack would come from the front, behind, or from above. The prototype's AI adapted rapidly to every new tactic the Empire tried. When they switched formations, it changed its attack patterns. When they deployed drones and smaller fighters, it found new ways to counter them, turning the battle into a test of wit and speed rather than sheer power. The Empire's fleet, for all its might, was being worn down by a single machine that refused to fight like any other warship. It fought with the intelligence of its creators, full of adaptability, creativity, and an unyielding will to survive. As the clash continued, the Empire's commanders began to realize they were facing not just an advanced warship, but the spirit of a people they thought had been erased from history. The prototype became more than a machine. It was a symbol of resistance and hope. On Earth, the small team of scientists monitoring the battle could barely contain their excitement and fear. They knew the Empire was powerful, and they understood the prototype's limits, but they also believed in the unique bond between the ship and humanity. Each success in the battle fueled their hope that Earth could rise again, that humanity's forgotten technology could challenge the galaxy's mightiest empire. The prototype's AI sent back detailed reports and updates, asking for input and sharing ideas. It showed a remarkable ability to learn not only from the enemy, but from the humans who had reawakened it. This cooperation became a new kind of strength, blending human intuition with machine precision. The suspense in the battle grew with every passing moment. No one could predict what would happen next, the Empire, desperate to regain control, threw everything they had into the fight, while the prototype continued to find new ways to strike and defend. Space itself seemed alive with energy and tension. As two powerful forces clashed in a fight that would determine the fate of many worlds, the prototype's swift and precise attacks not only damaged the Empire's fleet, but also shattered their confidence. Where once the Empire had seen Earth as a forgotten relic, now they saw a threat that could not be ignored. The Empire's warships, designed for strength over strategy, were struggling to keep up with the cleverness and unpredictability of their enemy. This battle was not just about ships and weapons, it was about ideas, willpower, and the unbreakable spirit of a people who refused to be forgotten. As the battle raged on, the prototype continued to exploit every weakness in the Empire's defenses, Human-inspired creativity allowed it to turn the tide when all seemed lost, surprising the enemy with tactics they had never faced before. The Imperial fleet, once confident in its dominance, now faced confusion and fear. Each moment brought new challenges and opportunities, and the prototype was always ready to adapt. In this clash of titans, it was clear that strength alone would not decide the outcome. Only those who could think and change faster would survive. The battle was far from over, but the forgotten prototype had already proven it was a force to be reckoned with. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, hope and ingenuity could shine through, turning the tide against the greatest empire the galaxy had ever known. The news of the prototype's stunning victory against the Empire's mighty fleet spread through the galaxy like wildfire, reaching every corner of the oppressed colonies where hope had long been buried under years of fear and submission. For countless worlds, ruled harshly by the Empire's iron fist, this story of Earth's forgotten warship, once thought lost to time, became a beacon of inspiration, a spark that ignited something deep within the hearts of those who had suffered. In silence, rebel factions that had once operated in isolation, unsure if they could ever stand against such overwhelming power, began to listen closely and to wonder if, just maybe, the tide was turning. The prototype, no longer just a machine, but a symbol of humanity's undying spirit, became the rallying point for those who dared to dream of freedom. Across countless star systems, secret meetings were held, alliances were formed, and plans for resistance grew bolder and more organized. The Empire, sensing this shift in the mood of the colonies, grew restless and fearful. Their control, once absolute and unquestioned, was now threatened not only by a single powerful ship, but by the growing belief in rebellion. High-ranking Imperial commanders and scientists gathered urgently, desperate to find ways to counter the prototype's unexpected power. New strategies were discussed, advanced weapons were designed, and spies were sent to gather any information. On this mysterious warship, yet every attempt to weaken or outsmart the prototype failed. Its AI, equipped with human ingenuity and learning from each battle, continued to evolve, growing stronger and more creative. It adapted to the Empire's new weapons and tactics faster than they could develop them, turning every encounter into a lesson and every victory into a step toward a greater goal. Meanwhile, the colonies began to send messages of hope back to Earth, sharing stories of small victories inspired by the prototype's courage and resilience. Resistance movements coordinated more effectively, exchanging knowledge and resources with a newfound sense of unity. What had once been isolated sparks of rebellion now became a growing flame, threatening to consume the Empire's grip on the galaxy. The prototype's AI communicated with the scientists and leaders on Earth, sharing insights and encouraging cooperation. It was more than a machine fighting alone. It was the heart of a movement, a living symbol of the strength found in unity and determination. The Empire's attempts to crush this spark only made it burn brighter. As the prototype continued its campaign, it destroyed not just ships, but the fear that had kept so many silent for so long. Each success sent waves of hope through the colonies, proving that even the mightiest empires could be challenged by courage and innovation. People who had once believed resistance was impossible began to rise, inspired by the forgotten technology that had returned to remind them of their own power. The galaxy, once darkened by oppression, slowly began to glow with the promise of change. The prototype was no longer just Earth's secret weapon. It was the symbol of a new era, a reminder that intelligence and bravery could overcome even the greatest obstacles. The Empire, watching helplessly as its controls slipped away, grew more desperate, but the spirit of resistance was already too strong. The clash between the Empire and this new hope was not only a battle of ships and weapons, but a fight for the very soul of the galaxy. And at the center of it all was the forgotten prototype, carrying the legacy of humanity and the dreams of millions who longed for freedom. The spark of hope it ignited promised to grow into a blazing fire, one that could light the way toward a future where the oppressed could stand tall, and the Empire's shadow would finally fade. As the galaxy stood on the edge of change, the forgotten prototype, now fully awakened and connected to Earth's remaining defense networks, became the guiding force of a new movement that promised to reshape the future forever. No longer an isolated machine hidden beneath the ground, the warship was linked to a vast web of communication systems, allowing it to coordinate attacks and defenses across star systems with remarkable speed and precision. The colonies that had once accepted their fate under the Empire's harsh rule now found new courage. Rallying behind the legendary ship whose victories had inspired hope and unity, these worlds, scattered and divided for so long, began to join forces, sharing technology, information, and resources to build a collective strength capable of challenging the Empire's dominance. Resistance fighters, former soldiers, and ordinary citizens alike stood side by side, united by a common goal to reclaim their freedom and bring justice to the galaxy. The prototype's AI worked tirelessly, analyzing data from battles past and current, predicting enemy movements, and designing new strategies that combined the best of human creativity and machine logic. Every mission was carefully planned to maximize impact while minimizing losses, proving that war did not always have to mean destruction on a massive scale. The Empire, once confident in its unbreakable control, found itself facing a challenge unlike any before. Its fleets, vast and powerful, were no longer enough to suppress the growing rebellion. Imperial commanders struggled to respond to the prototype's swift strikes and the coordinated efforts of the free worlds. The Empire's hold began to weaken as colonies broke free, their leaders inspired by the success of Earth's forgotten warship and the idea that change was possible. As the prototype led wave after wave of assaults against Imperial strongholds, the once mighty Empire was forced to retreat, losing planets and resources that had sustained its power for centuries. The balance of power shifted rapidly, and new alliances formed between worlds that had never dared to dream of freedom before. These alliances were not just military in nature. They were built on shared values of hope, innovation, and respect for life. Earth, long thought lost to history and the Empire's neglect, emerged as the heart of this new galactic alliance. Its people, once scattered and silent, now stood proud and united, ready to lead not only their planet, but the entire galaxy toward a brighter future. The prototype, more than just a machine, symbolized the enduring spirit of humanity, the ability to adapt, to overcome, and to inspire others to rise up against oppression. This new era was marked by cooperation rather than conquest, by creation rather than destruction. The warship's presence reminded all who looked to the stars that technology combined with courage could change the course of history. The Empire's retreat was not the end of conflict, but the beginning of something far greater. As free worlds worked together to rebuild and protect what they had gained, they understood that peace required vigilance, unity, and a willingness to embrace both old wisdom and new ideas. Earth, no longer forgotten or alone, was at the forefront of this movement, its legacy carried forward by the prototype and the people who had awakened it. The dawn of this new era promised challenges ahead, but also endless possibilities in age where freedom, innovation, and hope would shape the destiny of countless generations to come. The galaxy, once darkened by fear and control, now glowed with the light of a future born from the courage of a single forgotten warship and the strength of those who refused to give up. It was a beginning unlike any other, the start of a story, where humanity's best qualities, its ingenuity, its resilience, and its heart would guide the way to a new and hopeful tomorrow.